Today I want to chat about loneliness. I woke up this morning, it's Saturday morning, and I was journaling and I wanted to come up with a new topic for my next YouTube video. And something that I have been very aware of and going through lately is recognizing that I have been feeling lonely and escaping that loneliness. And I got excited about creating a YouTube video about this, about the journey, and how I then have started to realize that that's what I've been escaping from and how that has been driving a lot of my action steps the last many months. And I thought, I'm going to film this video today, but I thought that this topic could be really useful to some people, maybe. Because I wish I had heard a podcast episode on this a few months ago. And so I thought that before I shoot this whole video and edit the whole video and the topic maybe becomes a little exhausting at the end, because creating a YouTube video can be kind of time and energy consuming. I thought I'd share this with you guys on this podcast before I get into all of that, because I think it's such an important topic, and I wasn't really willing to admit it because that's not been something I've ever been fearful of or really felt like I've experienced previously in my life, like ever before. So I just think awareness is always the number one thing if we want to make any change in our life, right? So let's dig into it. I have these notes from the YouTube video, so I'm just probably going to speak from my heart. And then if I forget something, then I'll go back to the notes, because I went through a breakup. And since then, I've been feeling this negative emotion creep in. And I've lately realized that it has come from a place of feeling lonely. And I've always even though I'm an introvert, I've always been a pretty social person. I've always been around people first in school, and then like in my dance classes and on my dance team. And then later I took a dance education, and then I went to LA and I was a part of this dance community. I always had roommates. And then I moved in with my partner a few years ago, and I moved away from LA. I moved into Orange County. And that's also when COVID hit and when I started building my own business. And I was just so focused and motivated by that. I'm a pretty ambition and driven person. So when I set a goal for myself, I'm pretty strict and just all around focused on that. That's what I used to do with dance. And then eventually that then led me to like focus on my new business. And because it was COVID, we just weren't seeing a lot of people. And I got into this habit of just like working from home all day, every day. Yes, I would go to the gym and then I would continue working. I wouldn't even really go to dance class. Sometimes I would, but like the drive it was a 2-hour drive because it would be right in traffic hour. And so I just really wouldn't prioritize that. So I really just started being by myself all day long. And then at night I would be with my partner. And because of that, I kind of did have some sort of social interaction, some human connection at night because, I had him. And then when we split, which was a good thing, we're both great humans. We just realized we weren't a great match. I was so excited to get my first ever apartment in LA by myself. I signed a lease on a 2-bedroom apartment, and it was just like, freedom. And it felt really good. I had all these plans that I would start going to dance class again, and I would start hanging out with all these friends that I, hadn't hung out with for years. And then what happened is that my brain is naturally so goal focused that I would just continue this nonstop busyness. And I would now, for the first time in LA, I would work from home, being alone, like living alone, work from home. Yes, I would go to the gym, but then I would go back home. And then at night, I would be so mentally drained that I just didn't go to dance class. I talked about this a little bit in my previous podcast episode. But I would just like, then sometimes at night I would just want to shut off my brain and I would watch YouTube videos, and it would just like be like this every day. And at one point I started feeling like I'm so like passionate about my work that it brings me so much joy, like incredible amounts of joy. So I was happy, but there was this little nagging negative emotion creeping in, and I couldn't really put a finger on what it was. It just felt like something was missing. And because I'm an introvert and I've never had an issue with being by myself, I'm very independent, I didn't think that it was loneliness. My mom is a therapist, so she had mentioned it to me. But you can't ever have someone else fix you. Like, you kind of have to realize these things by yourself. And I thought, wow, this new life of becoming a digital nomad sounds so exciting. And so that is what I decided to do. And I was with people the entire time when I was traveling. It was about 3-ish months, I think. And that was amazing. I was with people all the time. And then eventually I realized, okay, now I need some time by myself. And then I went to Mexico. After New York, I was with my friend Betty in New York. After that, I went to Mexico by myself, and I was so excited to just, be by myself again, because I just needed that after so long being with people. And then after a few weeks, this little feeling that I also had experienced in LA started creeping in again. I just actually want to say that I had felt that feeling as well when I was in my relationship, as we slowly started drifting apart. And maybe some of you can relate to this, of being in a relationship, but because maybe you are not fully connected, you can be with someone but still feel lonely, feel alone. And when we slowly started drifting apart, our mindsets were on different levels. Now I can see that I did feel that as well when I was in the relationship. But moving back to the present, or not the present, but when I was in Mexico by myself, slowly feeling this feeling creeping in. I would meet with people there as well, but not a lot. And I definitely felt this emotion. And then that's when I got food poisoning. After getting back to that, I made a bunch of plans. I had to go back to LA for a modeling job that then got canceled. I took one class, and then I got COVID. And I was supposed to be traveling to Tampa in Florida for this influencer event. But obviously, because I got COVID, I couldn't do that. So I locked myself in a hotel room. I'm going through this really quickly because if you've listened to my other episodes, you already know this, or watch my YouTube videos, you know this. And so because of that, in this hotel room, after a few days, I was starting to feel better. That morning, I then realized that Tony Robbins was having this Unleash Your Power Within event. And I got super excited, and I did this event. And both when I came back to LA and then throughout this event, I realized that, wow, I have been trying to escape this feeling of being lonely. And throughout these days in the hotel room, I got so clear on what it was that I wanted, and how I wanted to dance again, and I wanted to model again, and how I wanted to start seeing people again and not be so freaking alone all the time. It comes so naturally to me to just be by myself because I love being by myself. But I've always been in these communities, or like living with people, and just like daily seeing people, that I had been so used to like trying to escape that, like trying to find as much time for myself as I could, that now I need to like switch my brain, because I'm not a part of a dance team or a dance community anymore. And my focus is like my job, where that requires that I sit down or I film stuff by myself. And currently I don't have a team. My dream obviously is that one day we grow this so that I have a team. I work with freelancers here and there, but right now it's me. So what happened during that event was that, okay, I need to make a plan, because if my natural instinct is to just be by myself, I need to set a goal on what it is that I want, obviously, and then an action plan, and how do I make that goal happen and really commit? Because if my brain naturally want to escape people and be by myself because I love that, then I need to think differently now. I need to make this action plan so that I am forced. I know that's a negative word for some people, but so that I am forced to connect with human beings on a weekly basis. And that's when I decided I want to dance a lot more. I want to model a lot more. And I want to connect with humans on like sitting down and drinking a cup of coffee and like have, real conversations with people that I used to see and maybe new connections, just really being open to that. And since I made this commitment, every second day I've actually had like a date with girlfriends who I used to be friends with. And it's just brought me so much joy. Oh, and also like hang out with people and like creating content. And I feel energized and excited and joyful after these human connections, which shows me that it's the right thing. Like I need to prioritize doing that and make an effort to actually both say yes when people ask me, but also reach out to people and make that happen. And other than that, after I lived with my friend Jen, that's when I was recording my latest episode. I was with my friend Jen in her home, and now I moved into my friend Effie's home, which means that I have a roommate right now. It just feels good to be with people again. And yes, that does disturb my workflow. I'm a very, what can you say? When I work, I dig in and I go all in. I'm in like a completely different world. So yes, being with people does affect that. It does maybe make me less, what can you say? Less focused, if that, I don't know the right word, but less focused on my work because I get interrupted in these human connections. But I think it's good for me because otherwise I'm just going to continue this thing that I've been doing that then will make me lack human connection and feel lonely. And I wanted to share this with you because maybe it's loneliness, maybe it's something else, but maybe you have some sort of negative emotion creeping in and you try to work extra hours to overcome it, or you eat or you drink or you do whatever it is that you do to cope with whatever negative emotion it is that you are experiencing. But I wanted to share this with you because if you sit with it for a little bit and you actually get clear on what it is that nagging emotion is coming from, like why is that popping up again and again, or why is it popping up right now, so that you can figure out, okay, what would my life look like if I were to change some things around so that I could overcome that negative emotion? What is my body, my emotions, my soul seeking right now? What is this emotion trying to tell me that I need to change within my life so that I can get into a better space, so that I can create a happier, healthier life for myself? Like, what is it trying to tell me? Get clear on that, and then setting a goal in what it would look like if you were to change it, and then creating a clear action plan and then committing to that action plan. And it may take a full day of journaling, a full day in the forest or at the beach where you like really sit with it. Maybe it's going to take a week of journaling. Maybe it's going to take a month. But I just think it's important that we dig in. And when we're feeling some sort of negative emotion, figure out where is that stemming from? What is it trying to tell me? And then solve it through setting a goal, making an action plan, and then committing. And maybe you set a goal and an action plan and commit, and you realize, wait, this was not it. Like how I decided to become a digital nomad. Then really what I was doing is that I was almost escaping from my life here in LA because I didn't know how to fix it here in LA. So I wanted to travel so that I could escape that feeling and get rid of that nagging feeling. And yes, that worked for a while, but eventually I had to go back to my regular life. I didn't feel fulfilled with the digital nomad life. So really what I was doing is I was escaping this loneliness that I was feeling in LA because I wasn't willing to take the action steps necessary for me to overcome it. And so maybe that happens to you as well, that you try one thing and then that doesn't really work out. You try something else and that doesn't really work out. And then the 10th thing that you try out finally fixes that. But I think that when we at least give it a try. We grow throughout the journey. We become more self-aware and we learn so many new lessons. So I don't think it's ever going to be a mistake taking one sort of action. Like, I think we should actually try to take as many action steps, set as many goals as possible so that we realize what it is not and then get closer to what it is that we need in our life in order for us to feel our happiest and most fulfilled self. I think it's more normal than not because of how the world has been changing through COVID and social media and just work in general. I was talking with a few friends about it and they had felt that loneliness as well. My friend Alessandra, she said that she had felt the same thing. She she canceled her lease as well at the same time as I moved out because she felt the same thing. And then there's my friend Effie. She's just like a social bird, which is so beautiful and inspiring to see. My roommate right now is Effie. And she's just so good at, when events come up, when social things come up, she's just like, yeah, let's do it. So it's also just like about incorporating that mindset in that when you get invited to something, when something pops up, just saying, yeah, let's do it. And that doesn't come naturally to me and that comes naturally to her. But I believe that whatever skill we want to incorporate into our life, we can if we're willing to put in the work and get out of our comfort zone and do the things that naturally we wouldn't. So yeah, I hope you are willing to make the necessary changes towards whatever maybe nagging negative feelings, emotions that come up. Create a goal, make an action plan, and then commit. It definitely has brought me a lot of joy doing so lately, and I hope it will bring you a lot of joy as well. I am now gonna shoot this YouTube video talking about this, so I really appreciate you listening and hopefully being open to digging deep into what it is that nagging, maybe neglected emotion you're feeling right now. If you like this episode or you think it could be useful to someone else, then I would just so appreciate it if you would share it on social media or just to a friend. Maybe hit that subscribe button. That really helps me out a lot. And remember that in order to grow, you have to challenge your norm.